What can people start doing uh, to protect themselves, to safeguard themselves from this? Because this is, like you said, I mean, it has happened through history, certain amount of manipulation, but today it's overwhelming. And there are every tool is aiding this. Every new advancement
Yeah.
in this. Yeah.
Well, the one thing you can do is get immunity. You can get a certain level of immunity against these techniques. If you know what they are and you can spot them, then you're better able to resist them. It's not perfect. It doesn't always work. It's a bit like an optical illusion. Even if you know it's an optical illusion, you can't unsee it. And in the same way, even if you know, for example, the supply of diamonds is artificially restricted by De Beers to make them scarce and therefore valuable, you might know that rationally, and yet I'm sure you'd still love some diamonds. So you can't really totally be immune, but you can get some level of protection by learning about the techniques, by reading the book, for example, available in all good bookstores. But yeah, as I said, it's not perfect, but there are some other things you can do as well. One is simply to resist, to limit your exposure to these techniques, to these kind of manipulative materials. So, for example, using Twitter less, watching the news a bit less, watching adverts less. I know it sounds obvious, but there was a book called Battle for the Mind, which was about brainwashing back in the 50s, I think. And it talked about how the only dogs that Pavlov couldn't condition were those who just kind of ignored the bell in the first place. And so if you don't want to be conditioned, you just kind of have to ignore the bell. We spoke to a magician and I asked him, how do you not get tricked by a magician? And he said, don't go to the show. So just kind of cut down your exposure a bit. I mean, no one's expecting anyone to stop watching TV completely. It's a very big ask, but just reduce your exposure and be more mindfully exposed. So images, especially video, are more attention grabbing, more emotional, more comprehensible, more memorable, more persuasive, etc., etc. It's called the picture superiority effect. So we've had eyes for a lot longer than we've had language, and therefore images just influence us more readily. They have what's called pre-attentive effects. So an image influences us before we're even consciously aware of what we're looking at. Text, on the other hand, is slower. It engages a slower thinking style. It gives your brain room to breathe. You could stop and think about what you're reading and digest it and incorporate it into your previous experiences and memories. One study found that people who got their news from newspapers had more stable political or more stable beliefs over time than people who got their news from the TV, because the TV is more of a superficial kind of shallow, one thing to the next, bam, 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 very quick start. So that chapter is called Get It in Writing, and it's about the importance of reading your information rather than just having it via image or especially video. And then be aware of the conditions through which you're exposed to potentially manipulative materials. If you are tired, hungry, lonely, anxious or stressed, if you are ill or if you need the toilet, basically anything which kind of reduces your conscious brain power, brings down your critical defenses, that makes you more vulnerable to persuasion. So like even Hitler said that he preferred to give his speeches at night because people's willpower was less because people were tired. Also, intellectual humility is important. Just be aware that whoever you are, whatever beliefs you may have, they could be wrong. Just always be open to at least asking questions, and try to find out what are other points of view, other perspectives, and integrate them into yours. So there's more to it, of course. It's all in the book, but those are some broad themes.